You haven't closed your first wholesale deal, and it's because you have given up on the most crucial skill, which is cold calling. It's vital to grow in the real estate game and play at a high level. Without it, you're just closing the door on opportunities. If you don't want to do cold calling, you're going to need capital, a ton of it. You're going to need capital for marketing, lead generation, and hiring closers. I didn't have that capital, and I'm still committed to becoming a multi-million dollar real estate investor through the wholesale route with cold calling. So if you're like me, keep watching this video. Okay, so the first point to consider is that cold calling is free and powerful. The only thing you need is your phone, and on top of that, you have the power of the internet. So with those two things combined, already you have two free tools at your disposal to just go out there and hunt for your first deal. Let's take this example. Let's say you live in Florida, right? You go on Zillow.com and you start looking for properties listed for sale by owner. Right then and there, you have a property, you have a lead. You just pick up the phone and call that lead. If you don't have a phone number, just go on free websites like truepeoplesearch.com and skip trace the address. Look up the address, find the owner, find a phone number, and pick up the phone and make the call. Start asking questions that would allow you to understand a little bit more about that situation with that seller and with that property. What's the condition of the property? What's got you thinking about selling this property? Is there a mortgage on the property? Is there a foreclosure on the property, a pre-foreclosure on the property? Ask questions. Be genuinely curious about what's going on with the property and what's going on in the seller's life to understand a little bit more. Make sure that when you're looking into these properties on Zillow.com for sale by owner, just take a look at the property's condition with the picture that's there on the website. Just make sure that you're looking for properties that were built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s even, or just properties that look distressed. And there you go. I literally just gave you the first actionable step you can take to start hunting for your first deal and have a property under contract today. And it's free. The only thing you need is to get some courage. Get your shit together, pick up the phone, make the calls, and just do some research. That's the only thing you need. You don't have to invest a ton of money to get started within real estate. You just need to pick up the phone and commit to cold calling. You will make money. So now the question, hey Nick, how do I master the art of cold calling? Well, it's not easy, but it's very simple. So listen out. You only need two things: consistency and a thick skin. I started cold calling 5 years ago, working for a couple of Venezuelan brothers that were doing wholesale and also their own flips in Florida. One of these two brothers became my mentor, and he taught me everything that I needed to never look back on anything else. I committed to real estate first and foremost, and also cold calling as the main skill that I knew I needed to become a high level player within this game. So that's the first thing. Do you need a mentor? Yes. But let me stop you right there because I know where your mind is going towards. You don't need to pay $5,000 for a mentorship, especially if you're just starting out. You just need to hop on youtube.com and start looking for the content. Start looking for people out there that are making millions of dollars in real estate wholesaling, because you're committing to wholesale as your initial route toward becoming a $1 million real estate investor. You'll find many creators out there. You have Jerry Noor, you have Alex Martinez, you have you have me. You can just subscribe to this channel, like this video, and stay tuned because I will be building this company with you guys watching. So you don't need to pay $5,000 off the bat. You just have to hop online and start putting your mind into this real estate game and cold calling. There's a ton of creators out there that do live cold calls. The most important thing is that you have to understand that you have to commit. Without commitment, you cannot do anything in life. But on top of the commitment is taking action. And it's so simple to take action to become a razor sharp cold caller. It's just picking up a phone and making a call. I know it's not easy. I'm saying that because when I started out, I was stuttering my way through the call. I couldn't even say, hey, this is Nick with X company. I was stuttering off the bat. I know that's the hardship, but it's simple. because it's just about repetition. And take it from my experience. I never paid for mentorship. I have never paid for mentorship within cold calling. Maybe there's an arguable point there where it's like I could have paid for mentorship and maybe I wouldn't have spent 5 years before I made the decision of creating a company and building my own business within the real estate game. But every single path is different. You don't have to do exactly what I did. I'm just giving you my experience so you can take from it and maybe gather some insight. I started working for an investor in the first place. This investor put this idea in my mind that cold calling was the skill to build with consistency within the real estate game in order to play it at a high level. That to me is a very, very nurturing route because you can learn from high level players. This guy was already making millions of dollars in real estate. He was teaching me how to do cold calling. He was teaching me how to understand real estate as a game. He was teaching me about how economic theories align with real estate because I'm an economics major, business and economics to be exact. So I was, this whole mess in my mind was starting to become a puzzle that I was putting together. And cold calling was the main piece. I understood that early on because I was being taught by a high level player for free. I was actually getting paid to learn because I was doing 100 calls a day for these guys. I actually got the opportunity to close deals, take a look at what contracts look like, take a look at the most common objections that you will find when approaching a seller, when approaching a real estate agent, when putting together contracts, when putting together an assignment of contract for a cash buyer, or when actually doing a flip yourself. So this was very valuable insight, and I was getting paid to get it. So that was my personal experience. If you believe that you have somebody out there that you admire, that you believe you can pay them $5,000 for their mentorship and you're actually going to become a high level player, go ahead and do it. But from my personal experience and what happened to me is that I'd rather just utilize the free tools that are out there, which are immense, and take action. I'd just rather take action. I'd just rather go in the trenches, make the calls, 100, 200, 300 calls a day. I was doing those numbers back in the day. And that's what made me the razor sharp closer and cold caller that I am today. So that's the reason why I want to share that with you and see if it might also work for you. This guy engraved in my mind something that I'll never forget. He told me that obsession is key. And that's the next point I want to make. You have to become obsessed. I'm like Kobe Bryant. To quote the greatest, obsession will always beat talent every single time. If you're obsessed, you can be competing with the most talented individual, somebody that was born to cold call and close deals. But if they're not obsessed and you are, you will always beat them. That's it. It's obsession and it's about numbers. You need to become obsessed with real estate. You need to become obsessed with winning at this game and becoming a high level player. Because with consistency and becoming obsessed with real estate, you will grow the thick skin that you need to hear a bunch of no's, hear a bunch of people telling you F off, F your mom, go to hell, screw you, I'm not selling, I'm not selling, I'm not selling. And then I'm selling my property. I want to sell. What's your offer? Let me hear out what you got. It's like science. And that's when we land on the golden rule of cold calling and sales overall. It is 1000% a numbers game. Don't you ever forget that. That will be your motto every single time you sit down on your chair, on your desk to make calls. It's the most important thing you have to understand because if you don't engrave this in your mind, you're going to get disappointed like this. You're going to be very, very disappointed very quickly because you're going to get 5 no's and you're going to be like, I'm not made for this. You're not going to see progress fast within cold calling in real estate at all. This is a very, very patience-based game. You need to be aware of how much time you need to spend in this game to actually play it at a high level. And I just want you to be clear about that because this will give you a framework to operate within your life if you want to do real estate. And it will allow you to make a very informed decision as to what game do you want to commit in this life that we're playing, because life is a video game, and you have to choose a game within the overall game that we're all playing, that we're all within. It's a simulation, man. Just pick the game that you want to play. And if you want to pick real estate, it's going to be a long term game. Just know that for a fact. So, how do you play the numbers game? Well, here is a simple formula for you to engrave in your mind, cement it, man. Because this formula will allow you to understand what you need to do every single day and do it without emotions coming into play. So, the more calls you make, the more conversations you have. The more conversations you have, the more offers you're going to be able to make. The more offers you're going to be able to make, the more properties you will get under contract. And the more properties you got under contract, the more profit you will generate. Simple as that. Because once you get to that point where you have a property under contract, believe me, anything can happen with that contract. Anything. It can even be on your end where you don't find a cash buyer for the property. We're talking about wholesale here strictly. You get a property under contract, and then you need to find a cash buyer for that property. For some reason, 10-day inspection period goes by, and you didn't find a buyer. You need to step out of the deal. You need to walk away from it. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in a very messy situation. So, or the seller can back out of the deal, or the property can go into some issues once you start doing the title search. It turns out that it had liens, or many things can happen within a deal that can just break it and put you in a position where you need to walk away from it. So that's the reason why you have to play the numbers game, because you need to have more than one, more than two, even more than three properties under contract every single week, so that eventually one of them closes and you boom, land on profit. If not, if you just like, I'm going to get a property under contract every week, what if every single week there's a problem and you don't actually close? Then you see yourself at the end of the month like, I didn't make a single penny. And that's when your mind starts working against yours. Like, am I really made for this? Is this really worth my time? Is this really what I want to do? And you start questioning yourself. In order to be able to battle that and win the battle, play the numbers game. Just cement in your mind that the more calls you make, the better. That's it. That's the importance of cold calling right there. You need to understand first and foremost that cold calling is a vital and crucial skill to be able to play in the real estate game at a high level. And the way you master it is by, first of all, committing to it. Second of all, understanding what a long process is to become good within cold calling and real estate, how much hours you need to put into, and how much you have to train your mind to be able to be resilient to the no's. And you have to become obsessed with real estate. You have to become obsessed with winning within the game. With those three things, you're going to be able to sit down on your chair, on your desk every single morning, make calls, play the numbers game, and close your first wholesale deal. And just full disclosure, yes, you can become a real estate investor without cold calling. Of course, actually, real estate should be a part of an investment portfolio. It should be a part of everybody's investment portfolio. It's the best asset you can invest in. Actually, it should be the majority of the portfolio, if you ask me. But if you're like me and you're looking to build a business within the game, you're looking to play at a high level, like at the highest league possible, just get your hands dirty, actually close deals, and become a razor sharp closer within the game, well, you need to become obsessed. And you need to understand that if you're like me and you don't have the capital to start and just invest in marketing, run ads, or just establish a system where you can get inbound leads, which is very expensive, commit to wholesaling and commit to cold calling to be able to close deals within wholesale. Because believe me, if you do that steadily throughout the years, you will become unstoppable. I'm on this road to becoming a multi-million-dollar real estate investor, and I'm just becoming more and more obsessed every day, just like Kobe within basketball. That's what I'm doing with real estate. Follow along on the journey. Subscribe, like this video, leave a comment below, all that good stuff. Do what you gotta do, and stay tuned for the cold calling sessions every single Wednesday, where I show you raw footage of me making these cold calls, talking to potential sellers, and closing deals. Just like that, this is Nick with Keystone Home Buyers. Peace and love.